15 days to the election, and political parties in the Upper West region have pledged to ensure that the country has a peaceful poll this very December.
The parties say their ultimate aim is to develop the country and not to destroy it. They made their statements after signing a peace cloth presented to them by members of Women's Situation Room of Ghana in Rafik Salam has more.
The Women's Situation Room of Ghana is a women's peace-building mechanism that is set up to mitigate conflict before, during, and after the election. It is a non-partisan process that mobilizes women in collaboration with the youth to engage with stakeholders to support the women's call for peaceful election. Over 1,000 women from the various political parties, religious organizations, civil society organizations, and the Ghana Federation of the Disabled took part in a peace march and went around some principal streets in the Wa municipality. They also visited the regional party offices of the various political parties for their executives to append their signature to the peace cloth and also pledge their party's commitment to ensuring that the country has a peaceful poll. Kate Bobila is the Upper West chair of Women's Situation Room of Ghana.
As women, we suffer most with our children when there is violence, and will not look on as the security of our beloved country is compromised in the name of politics. We are here to reiterate the call for peaceful elections. As women, we are gathered here today to call on your encouragement, your support, to do all in their power to remain calm and resolute as the election day unfolds.
Upper West Regional Chairman of the MPP, Abubakar Abdul Rahman Short, who signed the peace cloth on behalf of his party, pledged to work assiduously to ensure that there is peace in the December polls.
We want to give you all the assurances that for us in the MPP, we cherish peace and we will ensure that there won't be violence whatsoever from our end. We hope that it will be like that for all the political parties in this country. We are one people, we are related, we have one Ghana, so there is no point to take up arms because of elections. We will never do that.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And down here in Accra, students of the University of Ghana were thrilled to a political debate as political parties contesting the 2016 general elections subjected each other's manifesto to scrutiny during a debate session organized by the University of Ghana Debate Society.
And the debate was targeted at getting the parties to engage in issue-based campaign for the votes of these students. Party representatives from the NDC, NPP, PNC and CPP addressed a number of questions from the student body who sought for clarity on promises made by these political parties.
The debate, organized by the African Heights Foundation in partnership with the University of Ghana Debate Society, brought together representatives of political parties debating on issues ranging from the economy, healthcare, corruption, amongst others. The political parties sought to present their party's vision in various areas to students, justifying why they should be voted in power on December 7. On the health sector, the NDC was quick to tout its achievements in the area of expanding infrastructure to support healthcare.
When it comes to the health sector, I think my government has done a lot to improve upon the health infrastructure. Also, when it comes to logistics, as you are talking about, the health ministry has also done a lot in promoting health. I'm just reading something. I realized that the government increased its supplies. Maybe the numbers are too big, but the government increased its supply of hospital materials in Kolebu, in Ridge Hospital, in the police hospital.
The PNC, in a sharp contrast to the NDC, argued that what is needed to strengthen the health sector is not infrastructural expansion, but affordability and accessibility.
We have physical accessibility, which I think, credit to NDC administration, they are doing fairly well. But the bigger problem is financial accessibility, which in simple terms is affordability. It's very expensive to access healthcare these days. And it is because the arrangement that the PNC suggested some time ago, which the MPP gave effect to, and that gave birth to the National Health Insurance, is being terribly managed. Now, you have a situation, because the National Health Insurance is not properly managed, you have a situation whereby patients go to the hospital, they either are not properly attended to, and where the doctor has the patients to attend to the person, drugs prescribed cannot be afforded to the patient. So the person invariably is paying cash for it, and that makes the cost of healthcare very, very expensive.
For the NPP, however, corruption remained one of the key deciding factors for electorates on December 7, for which the NPP presidential candidate stands in a better position to lead Ghana, following from his track record.
Now, when it comes to leadership by example, as I believe none of us here will contest, the presidential candidate of the NPP has led 40 years of public life from 1977, when he was the General Secretary for People's Movement for Freedom and Justice. He's led 40 years of public life. A lot of things has been said about him, a lot of things can be said about him, but not even an allegation of corruption has ever been leveled against him, let alone a proven allegation of corruption. None. His political opponents have said a whole lot about him. What they've never been able to say about him is corruption. He's largely been reputed to be an incorruptible leader. That is what we're looking for when it comes to leadership by example.
Well, toilet and jobs is a theme for this year's edition of World Toilet Day.
It aims at focusing on how sanitation, or the lack of it, can impact people's livelihoods. One of the communities in Accra with toilet challenges is Teshi Buglan. Beryl Richter has more.
Sanitation is a global development priority, and according to UNICEF, about 2.4 billion people live without improved sanitation. I'm here at Teshi Buglan in Shona, as it is popularly referred to. This place also forms part of the Lojokuku Krowa constituency. I'm here to find out how serious the situation is. Many homes do not have toilet facilities. Open defecation is a common practice among residents in most communities along the coast. Teshi Buglan in the Lojokuku Krowa municipality is no exception. As I toured the community, I gathered the people like to play the blame game. They claim people from other communities dump refuse in the area.
Whenever it rains, the stench that emanates from the rubbish is unbearable. It is as if we eat or live with houseflies here. When the weather is also hot, one is compelled to stay indoors because you can't come outside for fresh air. People from other communities also dump refuse here, and that is a major problem. We need more dustbins to help keep this place clean.
They
complain that public toilet facilities in the area is inadequate to cater for the over 3,000 people living in the community. Residents also complain the 50 pesos charge for use of the facility is too expensive, claiming that also contributes to the open defecation situation in the area.
You can see this place. They come here, throw the rubbish here just like that. Because when they go to the containers in the town, they will charge them a lot. Maybe you are having a small bala like this, they'll take you 3 cities, 4 cities. Maybe you can't pay. So for here, free. Anywhere you can dump it. But the last time we reported to the LECMA, and they said they are coming to push it back and level the place for us. So I don't know if that's what they are going to start here. You can see the caterpillars and all that. I don't know if that's what they are going to start here. People go to private, you can see them going down. They are going to private. They'll just cut on the baller and do whatever they want to do on the baller.
Some fishmongers expressed their displeasure at the situation. It is estimated that diarrhea caused by poor sanitation and unsafe water kills 315,000 children every year. World Toilet Day is an opportunity to raise awareness about the 2.4 billion people around the world who live without a toilet and the rates of diseases due to inadequate access to sanitation and unsafe water. The Sustainable Development Goals, launched in 2015, include a target to ensure everyone everywhere has access to toilets by 2030. For Joy News, Beryl Richter.
Importers of petroleum products say they will oppose any attempts by government to intervene in prices of petroleum products.
Finance Minister Seth Terkper earlier announced that government is currently building up strategic reserves so they can step in to cushion consumers if prices go up from December. The chief executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors Companies, Senyo Hosi, says this is against market practice as far as the deregulation policy is concerned.
The market is buying not from any strategic reserve from the open market. Would a strategic reserve be feeding the market? To what extent can that happen? I have always maintained that government's most practical way of intervening in pricing now, using its fiscal space, will actually be a review of its own revenue generating space within the price build-up. But to really want to build a strategic reserve, I would need a bit more insight to be able to comment if it's operationally practical. What sometimes governments may do, or maybe have been doing now, is actually to subsidize its own agencies who are also operating on the same market to keep prices down, because it makes every other competitor also bring prices down. But that, I think, it's very unfair and maybe quite illegal. It may be possibly is being done as we speak, but it's not proper, because it means you are distorting the market. You are subsidizing one player against another person. So what are you really doing? You are trying to knock out the private sector, because the private sector is not being subsidized, but it's competing with somebody who is being subsidized. That would be a major problem for the market. We've had wins of some of these things, but if that's the approach, I would strongly advise that it's not done, because if that's done, that's quite illegal, and that's very unfair to the private sector. It means that government practically is telling the private sector to get out of the market.
Senyo Hosi is the chief executive for the bulk oil distribution companies, and that ends the news for the morning. You want a lot more news? We have a lot more of it here, because we'll be doing review of the newspapers. We have the hard copies. We'll also do a lot more of news interactively, not only on our platforms on Facebook, but also through our various online portals.
All right.